Yo, Beth, that shit crazy.
Welcome, everybody, to All Even Live exclusive. My name is Barry Grant Jr., host of the All Even Podcast. To my left is Matt, the great Catarizzolo. Down at the bottom is 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞, host of Guido's Gridiron Blitz. And who we have on the show today is former Major League pitcher, recently retired reliever, great. Welcome to the show, Jerry Blevins.
Hey, appreciate it. That's a heck of an introduction. I like that. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Listen, the first thing we always like to ask people is, how you're doing, how's your family doing around this time? The country's opening up, but I'm sure things are still a little bit of, topsy-turvy for you.
Things are great here, man. I'm like you said, recently retired. I think I'm 3 weeks in, and I'm just enjoying being around, man. I've been gone for a long time. I could drive to my brother's house. My mom lives driving distance. So I'm just catching up, bothering people that I've, neglected over the years. So I'm all good.
Right. You're just being annoying to people who never thought you'd be around at this time, right?
Yeah. They're like, I liked you a lot more when I only saw you for like a couple of months out of the year.
Oh, that's funny, man. Well, Jerry, listen, tell us how, your baseball journey began. Like, what age did you find the love for baseball?
So I mentioned my brother. He's 4 years older than me. My hero growing up, obviously, still, but he was into all sports. And I remember at like 3-4 years old, just picking up a baseball. And I'm a lefty my whole life. I picked it up and I threw it, and I saw his face. His reaction was like, whoa, that was a good throw out of a tiny little human being. And I think that sparked it. And as a kid, I was like naturally good at it, but I also understood like that there's people that are better than me, even my age. So I think that enforced that competitiveness in me to like get better, because I felt good and I was good. I was having success, but it wasn't easy. It was hard. And so it was challenging. So I fell in love with it at an early age. Got to play it in college and live the dream in the big leagues, man. It's a crazy ride. I'm happy to be done with it in a sense. It was a long time, but I loved every minute of it.
Awesome.
I'm kind of jumping the timeline here because I'm actually really curious about this. So now that you're retired, right? Because a lot of players, they retire from the big leagues, but then they go play an independent or they play overseas or something like that because they just don't have anything to do with their time, or they get bored or something like that, right? Do you think that point's ever going to come to you where you're going to get bored of sitting on a couch and watching other people play, and you're going to want to get out there yourself again?
Yes, I will get bored, but I will not. I'm done. Like I know
You're
it. I'm
done.
physically, mentally done. I'm actually like, I just made the decision probably a week ago to not even try to go play in the Olympics, because I had an opportunity to do that.
Wow.
And once I decided to retire from the major league life, I don't have that will to stay in shape. And like, I went and I played dodgeball with my like nephews yesterday or a couple days ago. I'm like, man, why does my arm hurt? And it's like, I'm fully retired. So even if I wanted to, I don't have that will and drive to stay at that level anymore. And if I'm not at that level, then there's no reason for me to keep pushing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry, I think something that's really interesting that people kind of overlook, I feel like, in the sport of baseball is, because people are seeing more and more people starting to hit for average, and people starting to make so much more contact nowadays. I had this conversation with my friends the other night. We were watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, and one of my friends said, you know what, if you put me in 200 straight NHL games, I bet I could score a goal, right? I could just screen in front of the goalie, it'll go off my skate, and that'll count for a goal for me, right? And that sparked, and that's ridiculous. He never would be able to, but that sparked a whole debate. And I found myself wondering, like, you know what? I wonder how many major league games it would take for me to get one hit. And it dawned on me, infinite would probably be the number. So do you think people kind of underrate just how difficult it is to actually hit a baseball?
Yeah, man. It boggles my mind. Like you talked about it, man. People just like overestimate their ability, and they underestimate what it's like to be at that level. Not only just to be able to do it, but you think about, how hard golf is. And then all of a sudden you think about what it would be like when you have a gallery of people all down the fairway and you have to hit it there.
Right.
Like, it's different. It's different when you're on TV. Like, people handle pressure different, but hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do. The best in the world do it at a 30% clip. Not even that anymore for the most part. There's nothing like it. I promise you, I would never score a goal. I don't care how long I'm on the ice. I think maybe they'd feel sorry for me and just be like, let's get this guy out of here. But hitting a baseball is ridiculous. And with the ability that the pitchers have today and the pure stuff that they have, nobody's going to luck into anything here. You might get a knock, like a swinging bunt. If you're fast,
Yeah.
You might be fast cat. I'm not sure.
Just hold it over the plate, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that.
You're a career 250 hitter, Jerry. You
That-
are.
yeah, thank
You're
you
1
for
for 4 in your career, man.
Not bad.
With a ribby.
Yeah,
solid.
that's the thing, man. I if you didn't bring it up, I was going to, and I'm happy not to toot my own horn here, but it's a joy. So, are you guys Mets fans at all? Like, have you guys been? Okay, so I know
There
Barry
he is.
Diehard Yankee fan.
If you
Yep.
watched the game, so there's a guy named Tommy Hunter who's in the bullpen.
Oh yeah.
If he got his first hit in the big leagues ever the other day,
Yeah.
and he literally, it was the biggest moment of his life. So he's got like 14 years in the show. He's got 3 kids. I'm gonna pull up our text conversation because we played together in Japan with MLB. It's pure joy because I got a hit and it was like a highlight for me, and I'll remember it like to this day. But I told somebody this the other day. So right after he got a hit, I text him, "You got a hit." He says, "I got an effing hit. Oh my goodness." And I said, "I'm so happy." He goes, "It was the greatest thing I've ever done." Like, not kids, it was the greatest thing I ever done. I said, "The best, brother. Keep the ball, the bat, the helmet, the full uniform, first base, pick up home plate because you scored a run after the home run, and then have both teams sign up the lineup card."
Right.
Like, it's literally that cool. It's so hard to do. Relievers randomly get an AB. You know, I was in the league for 13 seasons. He was in it for 14 seasons. He has 5 ABs. I have 4. Like, it's just so astronomical for us to get a chance and to actually do it and to get a hit. Like, pure joy. I have the ball, the bat. Like, I remember every single moment of it.
That's awesome.
That's dope.
It's
Listen,
crazy.
Jerry, you played in some interesting markets. You played in Oakland, you played in New York, you played in Atlanta, Washington. What was your favorite market to play in? You know, obviously I'm a Mets fan. I would love for you to say Mets, but you know, what was your favorite team to play in and favorite market and all that experience?
So I loved every single experience that I've had in the city. DC was super cool. It was a great place for your family, like all the free monuments and museums. Yeah. It was a cool place to come visit. Atlanta was awesome. They had that whole region of the Southeast just on lock. There's no competition.
Right.
Everybody's a Mets fan. It's like a family of endless sea of Mets fans. It's or Braves fans. I mean,
Braves fans, yeah. Beautiful.
Oakland is amazing. Like, that's a piece of my heart. If I had to split myself into my 2 favorites, it was my 7 years in Oakland and then my 4 years, 4+ with the Mets. I love Oakland because they're like the blue collar, you know, fighter, looking at the San Francisco across the bay. Gritty. And they're shining. Yeah. And then the Mets fans have that same kind of, you know, you're looking at the Bronx and everybody's a Yankees fan. You see so many people wearing Yankees hats that probably couldn't name you 2 people on their team. Yeah. But if you're in New York and you see somebody with a Mets hat on, you're like, that guy is a fan.
Oh yeah.
You know? That's fact. And I took the 7 train into New York and into Queens almost every day for 4 years for the game. And like a true Mets fan would come up and be like, "Hey, good luck today," knowing that I had a game. Like, it wasn't, you know, a celebrity. It was just like a brotherhood. Like, and then as a market, like, New York is the best. It truly is. Everything's at your fingertips. There's marquees, the best of the best. You want to go to a Broadway play, you want to go get something to eat, you want to go see music, you want to see sports. It's the best of the best at your fingertips. Everything around. It's New York is a special place as a kid from a small town, Ohio, to be able to live there for 4 years and to experience what it's like and get a small taste of, you know, learning about people's lives that live there. It's so strange and so foreign to me. And I'm so happy to have been able to live a little bit of it. So I truly love New York. It's a place that my first son was born. I'm gonna go back as often as I can. I truly do love the city. I love the feel of it, and it's just a unique place, man. It's a great spot.
You see, Mike. This is why I love Jerry. And I'm gonna tell you, Jerry, on behalf of Met fans, you're always gonna be family. You know that.
I appreciate that, man. I feel it. I love Mets fans. I've had so many people reach out. Like I truly feel blessed to have been able to put on the uniform, man. It's something. I'll be a Met for life. It's a piece of me. It's a piece of my family. My wife loved it there. It was awesome, man. I'm so blessed to have been able to do that, and I'll never forget it.
Absolutely.
You know, New York's great. I just wish it wasn't so darn expensive to live here.
I don't blame you on that, man. I don't know, like we treated it as like a vacation of sorts because I only had to be there for 6 months,
right?
And I was gone for half of that time, and so I was like, all right, we're gonna live here because what are the odds I'm gonna be here again? Let's just treat it special. And we stayed in Manhattan for all 4 years. Then during our 1 month there, we were in Brooklyn. Like we just enjoyed it and spent it as a vacation. If I had to live there, I might be in the burbs, but I'd spend a lot of time in the city.
So who was the guy that you were afraid to face? Because I know there's, I get it. As an athlete, you got your pride and everything like that. No, I wasn't afraid to face anybody. I could get them all out. Was there just somebody that you just, God, he had your number?
Oh, okay. So that's two different questions. There's
okay.
No, that's a guy I'm afraid to face. Like I'm not afraid of anybody, but like when Stanton steps to the plate, I would be literally afraid that he's going to take my head off because he hits the ball so hard. It's scary, man. I've been hit and it's nothing. It's intimidating. You can get him out, but usually there's a lefty on deck, and so I'm going to pitch around him. The guy that had my number, you may remember, I was his teammate in 19, is Freddie Freeman. So
oh God,
I was never afraid of it, but I was always hyper aware of where he was in the lineup because I never figured him out. He's such a strange at bat. Most of the time, like I don't have the best stuff. Like I'm not going to throw like a Tyler Glasnow fastball and curveball. I have to kind of play chess, and Freddie's playing a game that I've never even seen before because his swing is so unorthodox. He's so good. First of all, he's a contact hitter with power. And like most guys, I can take a swing or like they can swing mid at bat and I can see how he took a pitch and be like, all right, he was out front or he's looking for something. Every single time I throw a pitch to Freddie, I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? I was like, was he late? Was he early? I have no idea. He's just so good.
Yeah.
And he disguises what he's doing so well that I always felt like I was a step behind him and that would get in my head a little bit. And I think he was just like, there's nothing. I think his approach, and I picked his brain a little bit. His approach is like, there's nothing that you can throw that's a strike that I can't hit. And so his approach is, if it's a strike, I'm going to hit it. And he's so damn good that he's going to do it. And so he was the guy that I least like facing.
Yeah, it's just insane because I remember when he came up and he would hit like right behind Chipper Jones. And I just remembered thinking, like, even as a young guy, I'm like, that's one of the best, like, pure hitters I've ever seen.
Right.
Just because, like, the goal of hitting, right? And this is always what I've been taught. Maybe it's different in the major leagues. I'm sure it is. But the goal of hitting is to put the ball in play and put pressure on a defense, right? Strikeouts are the worst thing in baseball because it's a free out. You're not doing anything with it, right? Freddie Freeman would just find a way to either put the ball in play, or if he wasn't going to put the ball in play, he'd make you work for 12 pitches to go get it.
You know what the thing about him that's the most interesting too is that he has a great understanding of the strike zone. And when you're a great hitter, most great hitters, if not all of them, have a understanding of the strike zone. And that's why they dominate, because there's nothing that you can really fool them with other than, straight gas or something that's really like a 12-6. So yeah, he's a great hitter, man. Great hitter.
Yeah, that's the key. Then if you when DeGrom comes back and they're playing Atlanta, it's must see TV when those two face each other, because they're really the two best at their jobs right now. And they truly step it up. You'll see Jake throw a little bit harder. You'll see Freddie lock it in because they're friends too. And so there's that competitiveness that comes out. And so I'm always edge of my seat every time those two face each other.
Right.
Yeah, Jerry, something about this season I think that's so strange, but also really interesting is the amount of no-hitters we've been seeing, right? We're already one game away for the record in a season, which is 7. And technically, when Madison Bumgarner threw one in a 7-inning game earlier, we should already have made that number. Adam Wainwright threw a no-hitter, I think, threw 7 the other night too. So it's just, seems like they're piling up. There's a no-hitter like every other game. So, I mean, what's your reaction to just how these pitching performances are sort of piling up? And what do you think some of the reasons for these no-hitters or the amount of no-hitters we're seeing can be?
Well, there's a few things. Like you talked about contact earlier. People are sacrificing contact now. They want power. They want extra base hits. So there's no more 2-strike approach. You don't see guys choke up. Like there's no more contact hitters in the game, or at least at far less. There's not, like, a strikeout doesn't mean anything. They're willing to sacrifice themselves because, why would they change their approach? If they're going to hit it, they want to hit it hard and launch it. So that's one, is just their approach. You get paid to drive in runs and to hit doubles. So why would you try to hit a single? Right. The other one is guys are just really good at pitching right now. I think with the advancements in training and basically the metrics, they're learning more about how to make themselves better at a faster rate than the hitters are. It's easy to figure out how to throw better when you can get instant feedback, when there's a lot of different philosophies on how to hit a baseball. And it's still going to be hard, even if you do everything right. You might hit it right at somebody. And so and then also, like, no hitters are kind of fluky. Sometimes they're going to pile up. Sometimes you're going to go a long time without having one. I played in Oakland with Dallas Braden in 2010. He threw a perfect game. And then like a month or 2 months before that, I think Mark Burley had just thrown one. And so there was, like, before Burley, there was like 10, 15, 20 years before the perfect game before that. So you never know. There's so many games played that you're going to run into kind of a small pile up, but I think they'll level itself out. I don't think we're going to see, 40 no hitters this year, but I've been wrong before. So we'll see.
Jerry, your first year with the Mets was 2015. You didn't pitch that much for the team that year, but you were a part of that World Series run. Explain to me how it felt, because I was there in Citi Field for the first 2 home games. It was electric. I'm sure it was different as a player. Like, how did it feel in the locker room? David Wright was there. Obviously, we know what was going on with him and his back and all of those things. So, what was your experience with that World Series?
Well, that was a tough year for me physically. Like, I got hit by that line drive and I broke my arm. You guys can see a pretty gnarly scar there, but I have a plate and screws. I actually was rehabbing, and then I wasn't allowed to come to the field. They had some weird, like, team rules. I wasn't allowed to be there. So it was like, I'm cheering on my friends and my team, but I'm also a little bit upset because I'm not there and being a part of it. So it was bittersweet for me personally. But I know from, like, the fan perspective, my wife and I, we were still in the city, still cheering our team on. It was electric in the city. Like, you could feel it. Like, like I said, I'm so grateful to have been there, but, like, you walk down the streets and you can feel the buzz. I've never been a part of anything like that from an outside perspective. Watching it on TV, just like, it's cliche, but it was electrified. And just being around it was something special, and to feel like a little bit of it, a little part of it was pretty cool. It's so rare and such a kind of a random thing to be on a really good team that can make it to the World Series. And so it's a blessing to be able to do that. And as a fan experiencing that, that you're experiencing possibly a once in a lifetime moment. Oh yeah. And I think the Mets fans are so smart about it that they appreciated it. And they felt that moment, and they really took advantage of it.
Yeah, definitely.
What was because I pitched in high school and everything like that. I wasn't very good or anything. I probably topped out at, like, I think I topped out at 82, and then, you know, I was
Pretty
consistently sitting at like 77 or something like that. But I pitched, and I found the most difficult thing for me was that when I got into a slump, right, I wasn't throwing strikes, I didn't have command or anything like that. It was really tough to get yourself to a point mentally to kind of gain all that back. You know, who has pitched at the highest level, what was the most difficult part for you of just being a pitcher?
Yeah, so I pride myself on that mental side of the game. I think it's something that kept me in baseball. I was able to put myself into that mindset to where I'm going to be repeatable. And so, like, there's two things that I wanted to be every day. One was available. So I wanted to make sure I was physically capable of doing my job on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And the other one was reliable. So those are the two things that I wanted to be able to do. And I figured out along my path what it takes to do that. A lot of it was like, you know, making sure the night before that I didn't go out, you know, and have tons of drinks because I knew the next day it was going to affect me. Studied film properly, you know, understand the lineup, paid attention to, you know, like I said, I face those lefties. I'm like, all right, Bryce Harper's hitting fourth or third. I know that, you know, coming up in the sixth inning, his spot's going to come up. And so I'm mentally already prepared to do my job. And so once that comes along, and then you're just learn routine and what it takes to do that. And so the hardest part for me was just the pass fail. So even if I did my job, I broke a bat, if Harper blooped that over the shift and it landed, well, I did my job, but I still got beat. And to be able to let that go and to understand that I was prepared and I did my job, that was the hardest part. And it's just being able to mentally let go of what you did last night to focus on what you need to do today. It's tough and it's not always easy, but it's something that I thrive to do. And I think that's the piece of the game that I've helped most with some of the young guys coming up, is to be able to put yourself in a proper mental state to do your job every day.
Yeah, I think the mental aspect of the relief pitchers in particular, like you see all sorts of intimidation tactics. Like I remember when I was watching Craig Kimbrell when he was in Boston. Now I know he still does it in Chicago here. When he would always do the stance like that, I always wondered, like, what is he doing that for? And then when you looked it up, it's straight for intimidation. You have your oldest Chapman doing the stare downs whenever he strikes somebody out. You know, everyone has their kind of their little things. Does that really strike anything into the batter themselves? Do you think it's all kind of just to instill some more confidence in the pitcher themselves? Like who do you think those tactics are more for? Is it for the batter or is it for the reliever himself?
100% it's for the pitcher himself to put him into that mindset. But it does have an effect on the hitter. Like if you're looking down and you're standing in and you see Kimbrell do his crazy arm thing, you're going to be like, all right, this is real. I'm facing, you know, one of the greatest closers of all time. I'm better be locked in right now. So you're going to notice that. But as a reliever, you're putting yourself into, sometimes guys build a character. You remember Jose Valverde?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he used to, like, I watched his routine a couple of times and I talked to him. He had to, like, he's a really nice guy, but he had to make himself a dickhead sometimes. So he created a persona to where he did this like spit thing where he would step on from the bullpen and spit like 4 different streams and then jog out and be cocky because he needed that. I played with Grant Balfour, the crazy Australian. He was the closer for us in Oakland during our really good years there. And that guy was the angriest human being on the planet when he was on the field, and he would literally like psych himself up, pour cold water on his face and scream. Like in the I think it was the 12 playoffs, we're facing the Tigers and Victor Zambrano's hitting. And he's just like looking at Balfour, and Balfour like keeps walking towards him and he's yelling like, "What are you staring at?" Victor's like, "What? I'm just hitting." He's like, "You don't look at me." And he just, you know, some guys needed to like red line in order to get to that moment. But for me, I needed to be calm, cool, and collected. I needed to be able to control my breathing and think through the process because, like I said, I didn't have the aggressive stuff. Like if I throw 93 to 95 as hard as I can, but it's down the middle, the dude's going to smash it anyway. I'll take some off. I'll throw 89 and put it where I want to. So it didn't work for me, but many guys need to put themselves into that intimidation on the man moment.
Jerry, what do you feel about showboating in baseball? Because, you know, it's always that, you know, baseball has always been this sport where it's like, you got to do things the right way. You got to do things the right way. It's an old school type of game where there's unwritten rules and there's all these things that go on. But do you feel that showboating can be able to generate new fans and generate more interest into the game? Like, what are your thoughts on that aspect of the game?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think it's bringing in new, fresh blood to the game of baseball. And for me, whatever reinvigorates this game and grows our love of the game as a country, as a world, I'm all for it. You know, it's not for me personally. Like, I would never be the showboating type, but like in a big moment, you hit a home run. Like I said, I got a base hit in a game and it was the greatest moment of my life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. So if you hit a home run in the like ninth off of Craig Kimbrell, who's got his wing out, throw your bat, man. You did something amazing. Like, I'm all for that. But like a guy like Trevor Bauer that does the sword thing, I think it's good. Your balls must be huge because you're putting a target on your back because everybody's like, if I get him, I'm going to make sure he knows it. Exactly. And he's embracing it. Like, as long as it's not like, there's too many guys that get mad and pretend to, like, you can't show me up. Like, dude, if you don't want to hit a home run, or if you didn't want him to hit a home run, pitch better. If a guy like pimped it a little bit off me, which I never really had a problem with. Brandon Belt pimped one off me once when I was with the A's, but it wasn't bad, but he made sure he made eye contact with me. But the day before I hit him in the hand, like came up and in, I hit him. And so he used that as motivation and he got me. I'm not mad at that. I'm mad at myself. I threw that pitch where he crushed it. And so I think it's good for the game. I think it puts us on par with football. And I love celebrations. I think it puts us on par with the NBA who gets a lot of face time as an individual player. It's not personally for me, my taste, but I don't hate on it. And I think it's good. Whatever grows the game, man, I'm all for it.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you feel? Are you okay with it?
No, I love it, man. I think it's what the game needs because, you know, a lot of people, you know, how we're baseball guys. So baseball as fans, it's passed down to us. It's hard to generate casual fans to watch the game. You have to love baseball to really like get into it. So if there's things that can be able to get the casual fan to say, hey, that was pretty cool. Let me watch an entire game and see if that happens more often. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want to see the game, you know, kind of go into because, you know, we need that. You know, baseball needs that. It's our pastime. It's America's pastime. Football has taken over that mantle, but it's still baseball to me. And I need baseball to get back to that level of excitement and everybody is just, you know, in tuned and ready to watch these games. Playoffs are like that for us. You know, the playoffs are always great, but regular season, we have to get that excitement back. So anything, like you said, to generate that love and that excitement for the game, I'm all for it.
Yeah. I want to interject just saying, like, the passion in baseball is so forgotten, especially now. I remember one of my earliest memories of really saying, like, why aren't people mad at this? Like, why isn't this happening the way it should be? Is 2013. I'll never forget it. When it was right when A-Rod came back from being suspended, and Ryan Dempster throws one right up and in, catches him right on the elbow. Next at bat, A-Rod cracks it right over to center field. And A-Rod, as he's rounding first base, he's fired up and everything. And right before that, when he got hit, Joe Girardi came out. He was fired up. He was yelling at the umpires, everything, and then he got tossed. So it's like it's a very strange dynamic where it's like almost passion is allowed in certain places in baseball. It's very selective, and I've always felt that it's strange. And you're right. I agree with Jerry's point. Anything that grows the game should be encouraged, right? It should be put on par with the entertainment factors of the other sports. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I agree. Just had to throw that little anecdote in there.
I dig it.
So speaking of unwritten rules, okay, The big story is Yerman Mercedes, right? And he pimped a home run off of Williams Astudillo, who, first of all, this is another side note. Okay. Williams Astudillo is a catcher. He probably can throw 90.
Right.
Like, why is he throwing 45? Like, that's the first thing.
It's because he doesn't want to tear his UCL and have Tommy John surgery. Pitching's hard on you, man.
I understand that. I did it. I tore my UCL twice.
The reason he's pitching is because, if it's a tie game, he might think about letting it go, but he's out there just like saving bullpen arms. And he just is like, let's get this over with, dude. Let's just get out, hit it at somebody, please. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want you to hurt. So let's go.
I guess. But listen, the whole thing with Tony LaRussa, right? So Tony LaRussa is pissed at his own player, and he gets thrown at the next day. And Tony LaRussa says, listen, I have no problem with how they reacted. And there's part of me that says, okay, I understand I guess maybe I shouldn't call it rationale, but I understand the thinking behind, listen, I gave you a take sign and you ignored it. Because listen, I coach Little League baseball. When the kid blows past me, I get a little angry if he gets thrown out. Okay. Stop. Stick to the bag. And then he doesn't do it. And then he gets thrown out at the plate. But that's one thing. But also, after it's over, you got to stick up for your player, man.
I couldn't agree. That was the point I was going to go with is I don't care how you feel about it personally. Like if you think he did something wrong, go talk to him privately and be like, look, I gave you the take sign. In public, in front of everybody, you have to have your players back. I don't care what it is. I don't care how wrong he was. You either say we're going to handle this in-house. You have his back. Why would he ever trust you moving forward ever again? He's not going to, because he knows that you don't care about him. It's more about how you feel and how you look in front of the media. That's one thing like Terry Collins did that was amazing. No matter what his players did, he had your back. In the media, he's like, look, he's my guy. This is it. And maybe in the clubhouse, he'd chew you out for doing something wrong. But in the media, he's like, look, he's my guy. Like, what do you want? Like, you have to go through me to get him. And as a player, that's what you want. And Tony LaRussa just backed the truck up right over him. He hit a home run. Like, so what? Like, let's get over ourselves. Right. What is he supposed to do? Like, not run, not swing hard? Did he swing too hard? Yeah. You got to either draw a line where you can't do anything. And you never punish a guy for hitting a home run. Like he's tried to hit the ball hard. You can talk to him about, hey, we don't want to do it 3-0 in a game like that. Maybe next time take the pitch. But unless you told him like physically before the game that that's how it's going to be, you can never be mad at a guy for doing his job. So that's a shame with how he handled that. Always have your players back, man. You're going to lose the clubhouse that way.
Yeah, like that. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, one of the things that really bothered me about that entire situation was, I guess he said like the next day or 2 days after that or something like that, talking about Tony LaRussa, he said like, okay, it's a sportsmanship thing, right? And believe me, I get sportsmanship in sports. It should be valued. That's perfectly okay. But he brought up something where it's like, okay, once you feel like you have enough runs, that's enough. I'm like, dude, this is the major leagues. Like, there's nothing stopping these big league hitters from scoring 11 runs in one inning.
And what do you want him to do? Like, this is his job. Like, if he stole third base with 2 outs off of a pitcher throwing 45 up 19, that's one thing. Yeah. But you want him to not do well for himself. He's going to go to arbitration in a couple of years.
He's a 29-year-old rookie.
This is his job, man. Like, let him do his job. Like, and then especially, if that sportsmanship is one thing. Like, I don't think he showed him up. He just hit it and he was like, wow, I crushed that. And like, jogged by. Like, I don't know. I'm over LaRussa in that sense. Like, yeah. When you throw your players under the bus, I'm a pro player guy. I'm a pro union guy. Have your guys back. It's a long season, and he dug himself a hole.
Oh yeah.
So good luck with that, my friend.
Yeah, real quick before you go, Matt. Like, if I was LaRussa, I would have took him to the side and said, "Listen, I'm gonna back you in public. I got your back. Just expect for the next game, you may get a ding or two. So, we're going to have your back, but just know going forward, that's not how we want to handle things. That's all. He would have looked at LaRussa and said, got it, coach. We're good. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Hey, I get it. I'm sorry. I understand. Thank you for having my back publicly. Right. And I will move on from there. Like you can't beat that. Like, that's what I mean. Like Tony LaRussa, good luck the rest of the year with him in the clubhouse, because when you ask a guy to do something like, baseball is a long season, man. Yeah. You dug yourself a hole. You're already like a generation removed from being relevant to most of these guys. Good luck, man. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. They got a lot of expectations and a lot of veteran leadership, so they might be all right, but good luck.
Yeah, Tim Anderson already called him out. So like you said, it's gonna be a long season.
Yeah, I remember Stroman called him out when they hired him. Like, I don't want to, I don't. Yeah, then you do something like that. Like you're swimming upstream. You're it's a tough go.
That's tough.
Yeah, I remember last year Tatis got slammed for doing that against the Rangers. They were up, I think it was like 11-3, and he swung on a 3-0 pitch and hit a grand slam, and he had to apologize for it because of these unwritten rules.
Yeah, we're at a turning point in our game, and I think those are going bye-bye. Too many people are coming up and understanding what's happening, and they're seeing it, and they're starting to. There's some unwritten rules. Like I said, stealing third base with 2 outs, up 18 runs is silly. That's completely selfish. But if you hit a home run, I don't care what the count is. Like, that's your job.
That's your job.
You have to do your job. You're not going to sacrifice your stats, your numbers. You're doing your job. So I don't care about anything else. If you're out there to do your job and you do it well, there's nothing wrong with that in any circumstance.
Right. 100% agree.
Agreed.
All right. So here we go. We asked this to everybody that we interviewed, Jerry, and we've gotten a bunch of different reactions. We've gotten a bunch of different answers. There are no wrong answers. Well, actually, there probably are, but I'm assuming you won't give us one.
I'm very interested to hear Jerry's answer.
𝐥𝐤𝐬𝐷 gave us a wrong answer.
𝐥𝐤𝐬𝐷 gave us a wrong answer. Yes.
I need it at the end. I need to hear what that was. So,
who is the greatest athlete of all time in any sport?
In any sport or every sport? Just the greatest athlete, one name to cover them all?
Yes.
One name, cover them all. In any sport, who's the best?
One ring to rule them all.
Jeez. That's athleticism is tough because I don't know. Like I've seen too many really good basketball players throw out a first pitch and purely embarrass themselves. So like you would think athletes, that's the best, but then football, you get a lot of time off. I got to go Bo Jackson, man. It's
all right.
Bo Jackson.
Right. I love it.
Deion Sanders is up there too.
Yeah.
They're both incredible. But Bo, he could have been a Hall of Famer in both sports, without
Absolutely.
injuries. He's a legend. There's a 30 for 30 that's incredible about him.
Loved it.
He's the man. So I got to go with him.
All right.
That was our second Bo Jackson.
Second Bo
so
Jackson.
Now we have 2 Bo Jacksons.
There's not many people that can hit a home run on Thursday and score a touchdown on Sunday.
Right. Insane.
Now, Jerry, we'll tell you who 𝐥𝐤𝐬𝐷 picked as his greatest athlete of all time in any sport. He picked Secretariat, the horse.
Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm not saying he's not a great athlete, but you're disqualified.
It's an animal.
That's an animal. You're disqualified. Like, I don't. Who is it? Who did it? I gotta find him.
𝐥𝐤𝐬𝐷.
Our buddy 𝐥𝐤𝐬𝐷. Sports Map Radio.
We'll link his Twitter handle in the
I was
chat.
gonna say that he wants to say something to spark a debate. That's a Skip Bayless move, and I will not bite.
That is what he said.
So you have 2 Bo Jacksons. Can I hear a couple of the other names?
Yeah, of course. We got a couple Michael Jordans, obviously. We got our first Wayne Gretzky last week.
I mean, he came up for me because that guy, he's still like his numbers comparatively. I'm not a hockey guy. I don't know anything. I've been on skates like 4 times in my whole life.
Untouched, Jerry. There's nobody even close.
It's the only sport with an undisputed GOAT.
Yeah.
Not even an argument can be made for anyone else.
Right. I mean, like for me, I'm a Jerry Rice fan. He's but that's a position.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good one though.
But,
I mean, Jerry Rice is by far like nobody's even as far as positionally.
Right.
And nobody's even close to Jerry Rice.
In regards to skill, longevity, everything. Like he had everything. So that would have been a good answer too.
But yeah, you got to be your overall. That's the. So Wayne Gretzky, you can make the argument. I dig it. What else we got?
We have 2 Serena Williams.
That's the same kind of domination.
Yep. We have 1 Usain Bolt. We have a Cristiano Ronaldo. We have a Tiger Woods, by the way. What else do we have? We have
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning is on here.
That's not a good one. I mean, he's an amazing Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the greatest of all time, but like that guy just willed himself to be amazing. I don't
know. Floyd Mayweather is one of them. We got an Edwin Moses.
We got
all right, I'll take that.
Diego Maradona.
We got a Diego Maradona. We got a Muhammad Ali, and we have a Randy Moss. I believe that is everybody that we've gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, there's arguments to be made for all of those except for Secretariat. I mean,
and we how could I forget? We have 2 Tom Bradys.
2 Tom Bradys.
Okay.
We also have 2 Tom Bradys.
I mean, if you Secretariat, I mean, if you're, could you say
he just can't move?
What's the name of Lewis Hamilton's car? Like you're gonna name it? I don't understand.
That's great.
Lance Armstrong's bike.
Somebody just may do it. I'm telling you, we may just get somebody to say, that car is pretty good.
Yeah, what is that? That's the Mercedes. Come on, get out of here, athlete.
Tony Hawk's skateboard.
Dude, Tony Hawk is a good one.
Tony Hawk, I will say, Tony Hawk was.
Dude, I got the feel. So as I recently retired. Tony Hawk is an amazing follow on social media. He posted his last
He's great.
He did his last ever twisty 540 or some move, and he got emotional about it. And I was like, dang, I know that feeling because I knew in our alt site, I was facing my last hitters and I threw a curveball and I played catch. And I was like, I cried that day knowing it was my last day. And I was like, oh, damn, that got me, Tony Hawk on Instagram.
I have one of my favorite. I have this saved in my photo library, and I don't even know how I was able to pull it up so quick. But it's one of my favorite tweets of all time. It's from Tony Hawk. It's from March 21st of 2017. So Tony Hawk was at the airport. It says TSA agent checked his ID and said, "Hawk, like the skateboarder Tony Hawk." And Tony Hawk goes, "Yeah, exactly." And the TSA agent goes, "Cool. I wonder what he's up to nowadays."
He's probably taking flights,
That's actually one of my favorite tweets ever.
That's actually a pretty good question, Jerry. How often do you get noticed in public?
So I got noticed in New York a few here and there. I got noticed in New York more for the Vision Zero PSAs. I did where in all the cabs they have the little video screen, and I warned about the turning left. More people were like, "Hey, you told me not to turn left or pay attention when I'm turning left." I literally got more of those than I did of anything else. But I rarely, in my hometown, somebody will say hi, but for the most part, and thankfully so, I'm an anonymous person. I'm an offensive lineman. If you know who I am, you're probably a really big fan of the team or the sport. Right. And I will go out of my way. It's easy for me. And this is a little bit of a rant, but I signed almost every autograph I could ever do it.
That's awesome.
It's easy. It's easy for me. Then I'm by a guy named Noah Syndergaard, and I'm signing, 200, and people are there. And then he gets 5,000 people surrounding him, and he signs the same amount of 200. And then he leaves because he has a meal or work to do. And then there's 4,700 people there calling him an asshole for not signing autographs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was always easy for me to be that anonymous player, to be very liked, because I didn't have the same demands as those high profile guys did. And so I went out of my way every day to make a kid's day, to talk to a kid, because I know what kind of impact it would have had on me to talk to a big leaguer. So I appreciate it more from that stance. But as far as recognition goes, you have to really know a team that I played on to recognize me. Otherwise, you're like, is that Ross from Friends? I don't know.
Oh my God.
I get that one more often than I get.
You got to say this: 18 pages front and back.
We're Pivot.
Pivot.
Oh my goodness. Listen, Jerry, this was great, man. Thank you for coming on the show. It was an honor. As a Mets fan, trust me, this made my day. This made my year. So
Good, man. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on. I've got a lot of free time, so anytime you guys need to fill in that fourth spot, let me know.
Nah, definitely, man. Listen, we'll take you up on that, man. But thank you so much for
I
coming.
appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
You too.
Thanks,
man.
Jerry. Appreciate
Thanks,
you, man.
Jerry.